Oh, hi there. Thanks for showing up for your learning once again, folks. So, I want to take you on a quick tour of Desmos. This is going to be your number one learning tool for grade 11 functions. And going forward, it's a really useful math tool for any investigations that you're doing at higher levels. So, let's take a tour, shall we? One thing I recommend doing is you can just throw functions into here and learn about them. So, if we say we have a function f of x, and I write that way, just like that. It equals, and then I write my function here. A function should have a variable on the other side. So if I say f of x equals x, you see I get the parent linear function. If I want to do a squared, and so I want to put an exponent there, I use shift 6. So I hold down the shift key, I push the 6 key, and now I'm up top. So now I can look at the quadratic function, x squared. Okay, so that's cool. All right, and now I can play with it, and I can say, well, what would it look like if it were negative? Oh, there, quadratics can go down. What if I add something to it? Oh, I'll add 5. Okay, it's up there. Oh, look, the y-intercept is now 5. I bet there's a relationship with that. What if I did something really crazy? I put this in brackets. And then I added or subtracted something from there. Let's subtract 3. Okay, you're going to be learning about these translations soon, okay? But you can just play in Desmos and see what happens. Note that they don't all have the same intercepts. The child function can move around and be in a very different place in a different orientation than the parent function, but they always have the same shape. So this still has an axis of symmetry. It still has a vertex and things like that. Okay, so that would be like playing around with a quadratic. What if I want to do a square root? Well, let's do a g of x. G of x is equal to get the square root, you can go in here and push the square root button. Okay, but that's slow and annoying. You can also get in there to do the squared button, but I showed you a shortcut, right? A hotkey. I'm a big fan of hotkeys in Desmos because hotkeys are hot. All right, so if you do SQRT, it becomes a square root. Note that x minus 1, that's that child square root function. I could make it flip down there. I could make it flip over there as well. So it can be in all different places. I can move it down, -3, it's down there now. Okay, so it can move all over the place. But this is different. If I have x minus 1, notice that's going to be different than h of x, which is, I'm just going to make this here. Okay, there's my g of x, is the square root of x minus 1. H of x is the square root of x, and then I push over, so I'm now outside of that minus 1. Notice these are two different functions. You can also turn your functions on and off over here, like this. Okay, so here is h of x. It starts down there at 0, -1, and goes up. G of x is a little different. It starts here at 1, 0. Okay, so if I do that inside the brackets, it's different than if I do it outside the brackets. Okay, sorry, there's no brackets there, Mr. Jennings. Actually, there are. These are invisible brackets like that wouldn't change my algebra. The bar on top of the square root actually works like a set of brackets. It says resolve everything underneath my roof before you take the square root of what's under my roof. Okay, so it works just like brackets are there, but they're invisible brackets. We don't need to write those brackets to change that. Okay, and then so I've shown you turning functions on and off. You want to see something else really cool? Let's say I want to see a table. Okay, I can go boop like that and say edit the list. And if it's a function, it will give you the option of creating a table for that function. So there, notice what it's saying for my stuff here. Oh, it tells me that these values for x are undefined. I can also input in values that I want. Let's say I want to know what's x when this is 9. And it says, well, that's going to be 2 when x is 9. What if when x was 16? Oh, it's 3. What if x were 25? Oh, it's 4. Interesting. What if it were 24? Oh, it's a weird, janky decimal number. Okay, so it can you can fill in tables really quickly with that tool and explore these things as well. Okay, now what else to show you? You should really know how to get in here to this menu. You can make things a little prettier by doing that. If you like working in dark mode, you can do reverse contrast. One thing that's nice is to take off those minor grid lines. This is maybe a little bit better for demonstration purposes. It's less busy. But another thing you can do is manually change your scale. Let's say I want to see values out to x is 100. Okay, so I've just changed the scale, and now I can see much more the behavior of these square root functions as they go to bigger values of x. Maybe I want to look at changing the y values. You can just go in here and highlight these and actually set your scale how you want. Okay, and later on we're going to want to be able to turn our calculator into degrees. I'll show you here, but we're not doing trig right now, so we won't need that right yet. So those are a few things that you can do in Desmos. Here's another thing. I can do square root of, this was a problem that people were struggling with, like x minus 1 or something like that. I've already graphed that. But then I could go ahead and substitute in like 3 minus 1, and it will tell me the value, or 5 minus 1, and it will tell me the value there, or 0 minus 1, and it tells me it's undefined. Okay, so this is a way to do that. Last thing that you can do here is, let's say I want to submit this. You want to submit this to me to show me that you've been doing some square roots. You go ahead and take a screenshot of that little bit that you want, and then paste that bit wherever you need it. And that's a nice way to prettily show me a square root if you're working on a computer. If you're working by hand, you can go ahead and do it by hand, no problem. But that way it's like, it's tidy and it looks correct, okay? Because 0 minus 1 like that is definitely undefined. If I do square root of 0 minus 1, then that's minus 1, okay? See the difference there? One is take the square root of 0, which is 0, and then subtract 1, which will be 0 minus 1. The bedmas is different because the bedmas is happening in a different order. This one up here is undefined. This one down here is minus 1. So that's another difference that I wanted to show you. All right, so definitely be playing around in Desmos. When you see a new function, an unfamiliar function, like j of x is equal to 1 over x, and you're like, whoa, that's so weird. I want to go and look at that in there. Okay, it looks like this with its greeniness. I don't want that to be green, so I click that button and I change it to purple. Okay, and now I'm going to say, well, what happens if I go x minus 5 down there? Moved over. Okay, what if I do plus 3 and moved up? Okay, cool. What if I change that number on top to a 7? Oh, it got all stretchy. What if it was negative 7? It flipped over. Okay, so you can play with all these things and learn a lot. All right, and see different things that your courseware is showing you. And when you get in the driver's seat of Desmos, I think you're going to like what happens. You're going to see a lot of patterns and build those visualization muscles, and a lot of the things that are happening in your lessons, because you're in the driver's seat, you know what's going on. You know how that's going to work and how that's going to change things. It's really going to help going forward, playing in Desmos. Okay, that's it for Desmos for now. Any questions, hit me up by email. Otherwise, thanks for showing up for your learning, everyone. Bye.